I've been asked to do this video a few times now, and I have resisted up to now because whilst I am in the business of helping and supporting people through menopause, I'm also very aware of what I say and how I say it in a way that I don't want to be seen as promoting something that could be exacerbating an existing issue. And weight for women is a very difficult subject to talk about without perhaps touching on some of those issues, let's just say. In a world that equates youthfulness and pretty aesthetics with worth, with power, with confidence, with value, it can be really hard to embrace the changes that sometimes we feel like we are battling against within our own body, and so much of it is about appearance. And I can tell you that the more than half of the women that I speak to that come to me and ask for support, weight comes into that conversation. It's not the only thing, but it's definitely up there as a list on their priorities. Now, I'll support anybody who wants to make positive changes and feel better in themselves. And if weight is part of that, then I will help them do that. But I will also encourage them to get really curious about why it's important to them, what they hope to achieve from that weight loss. And I don't just mean the weight loss, you know what I mean? Because it sounds weird when I say it like that, but weight is never just weight, is it? I wish it were, but quite often there are things behind it that just need to be looked at first to make sure that we're going about this in a mentally healthy way, not just physically healthy. And I also see it a lot that a lot of the things that we go through in menopause literally forces us to confront a lot of the issues that we have thought that we've dealt with or tried to stuff under the mattress for so long, and it forces us to get a handle on these things, and weight, particularly around the middle, is definitely up there as one of those things. And I will talk about how we can do that, and yes, there are things that you can do to address this, but really I just want to be totally clear and transparent that it is a choice. I don't want anybody to feel forced into that decision or thinking that there's something terribly wrong with them if they have gained a few pounds. And yeah, there's a health conversation that we can have around this. It can be a health issue, of course, but it's not just health, is it? So what I'm saying is, just because I'm talking about how to lose the weight, it doesn't mean that I'm telling you that you should do it. I know you might well be thinking, well, it's easy for you to say, but actually, no, it isn't easy for me to say this. As somebody who's been on both sides of this, as somebody who naturally doesn't fit in with the ideals when it comes to body shape and weight and appearance, and also as somebody who does support other people who don't feel comfortable in themselves because of those things. It's not easy to address, but I think that it really has to be said. Okay, for far too long now, we have been talking about weight management, losing weight or gaining weight, anything to do with weight, as being all about calories in versus calories out. It's a simple energy balance equation, right? That you eat less, you move more, and your weight changes accordingly. But if that were true, then why do so many people come to me feeling extremely frustrated that they are trying so hard to follow those so-called rules and their body is not responding, and it's not responding in how it used to respond? And those rules of calories in versus calories out seemed to work when they were in their 20s and early 30s, and yet now in their 40s, 50s, 60s, it's not really having the same effect. So what's changed? It's the hormones. Hormones obviously change as we get older. That's what menopause is about. So if we don't acknowledge that and do something differently and change the rules so it's not calories in, calories out anymore, that is part of the equation. It's not the whole story. And by acknowledging that and adding in other pieces of the equation to address what's going on with the hormones throughout menopause, then we can start to feel a bit more in control of it. Because your body is not a calculator, it's a chemistry set that's working within and around a fantastic system of organs and pumps and wiring, and it all works together. And your chemistry set, your hormonal balance system, works a bit differently to somebody who's never had ovaries. And it works a bit differently to when you were in your 20s or early 30s. So you've changed, you're different on the inside, and what you do to maintain or lose weight now also needs to change. And yet, another quick reminder, I'm not saying you have to lose the weight, I'm just saying if you want to, then these are the things that you're going to have to address. And straight up, diets are not the answer. Diets are never the answer. And neither is going back to a really hardcore daily exercise regime. It's not about doing the things we used to do harder, faster, more of it. It's about, as I said before, it's about putting other things into that calories equation, because it's not all about the calories. There's other stuff going on. So let me tell you about Sarah, my client who came to me more than a year ago now, and she came to me via email asking me for help with weight loss, particularly around her middle. She was 46 at the time, busy with trying to raise a family, trying to have a career and keep the rest of her life on track, and really starting to feel the effects of perimenopause. She was still having periods at that time, but she knew that things were changing for her. She was tired a lot of the time. She was feeling quite irritable because she was tired, probably, and also weight, she said in her words, it was piling on and nothing she could do could stop it, and it was really getting her down. She was a client for a few months whilst we worked on this, and she was taking hormone therapy at the same time, which she was quite happy to continue with because it helped with some other issues that she'd got, but it wasn't helping with the weight because, putting more hormones back in isn't always the answer to everything. There are other things that we need to be doing, so that's what I helped her with. Out of everything that I encouraged Sarah to do, there was one thing that she was really surprised at that had such a big difference. And we did cover quite a bit in the months that we were together, but there was this one thing that she couldn't believe made such a difference, and quickly as well. And it was this. It was slowing down. Slowing down. Slowing down particularly at meal times, so that it became a relaxed meal time. There was no rushing. We made time to eat, to chew properly, to allow the digestion to happen, to allow the enzymes to be produced. A couple of things that are really important in our menopause years, because we are producing less of the enzymes, less bile to break down food. Your body has to work harder to assimilate the nutrition. No matter how great your food is, we need time to absorb and digest all that. So slowing down at meal times, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to do straight away, but I gave her some tips, and she followed the advice, and it really made a difference. And the other thing was evenings, slowing down in the evenings, so that it became less about trying to finish off jobs that hadn't been done in the day, and it became more about decompressing, slowing down, getting ready for bed. And that meant that her body then flipped over into her parasympathetic nervous system, the part of the body which is all about thriving, which is all about allowing weight loss to happen. It's not going to happen if we're constantly in fight or flight. Sarah also commented to me saying that slowing down at meal times and with eating meant that her impulses to snack in between meals, that was also slowed down, so that she had the time, the decision over whether she was going to eat the snack or not. And it wasn't just a distraction away from wanting to feel better in that moment. She was able to make the choice and respond rather than just react to it. And that made a huge difference. Of course, there was a lot more to it than just slowing down. There needs to be more to it than that, of course. But for Sarah, that really gave her some confidence back that she was able to make some changes, and it allowed us to open a few more doors to make a few other things happen around exercise and around food as well. And food is a huge aspect of this. And if it's something that you need help with, then I cover it in full on the Wise Eating course, which the link for that one is in the description. So eating for weight loss in menopause is not about eating less per se. It's about eating something differently to create a different response in the body. If we can't eat in the same way or do the same things we've done in terms of exercise or lifestyle and expect the same things to happen throughout our whole life, then what has to change? And it's this: instead of focusing so much on the calories, can we focus more on blood sugar balance? Blood sugar regulation is a key thing that has dramatically shifted through our menopause years. It's part of getting older, and if we don't address that, then we're never going to lose the weight. This is why ketogenic diets have become so popular, and fasting as well, because it does address that blood sugar regulation issue, but it's a bit extreme. It's more extreme than we need to be. And for the average woman going through an average menopause, we don't need to do the diets. It's unnecessary. And actually, when we take things to the extreme, then we're doing more damage. We're creating harm because we're restricting ourselves too much. So blood sugar balancing meals are about eating plenty of proteins, whether it's animal or plant sources, and lots of plant fibre. Exercising for promoting weight loss in menopause, whether it's perimenopause or postmenopause, we really need to get away from hours and hours of cardio type exercise. It's not working. It's not going to help. We need a balance of both cardio and resistance training. So whether that's with a physical weight, lifting it up and putting it down, or your own working against your own body weight, it's working against a resistance. It's that encourages the hormones to create the right kind of environment on the inside that allows weight loss to occur. And when it's done correctly, it's going to improve muscle mass, it's going to help with that blood sugar balance again, it's going to help with sleep, all key aspects of weight loss. And when I'm helping clients with this, to provide them with a bit of extra guidance, like I did with Sarah, I send them a private video of me going through these kinds of exercises so they can just follow along in the living room, and they know they're doing it right. And I know that they are getting those key requirements, that they are increasing their heart rate, they're generating heat in their own body, they're sweating, they're breathing harder, and we're creating the right conditions for weight loss to happen. Another key aspect of setting up this internal environment that has changed through menopause, setting it up for weight loss to happen, if that's what you want, then it's about avoiding constipation at all costs. And I know this sounds really bizarre, like what has constipation got to do with hormones? And there's that obvious thing of, if I sit on the toilet for a few minutes a few times a day, then of course I've got an instant weight loss. But it's not about that either. It's avoiding constipation by introducing enough of the plant fibres, like maybe 25-30 different types of plants over the course of a week. Mostly plant-based diet, doesn't have to be vegan, but mostly plant-based. Then we're avoiding constipation, and by doing that we are supporting the natural detox system in the body, the liver, the kidneys, the digestive system, and we're avoiding having the really undesirable situation where we're recycling all of the toxins in the body, which will happen if you are constipated, and that is going to work directly against any kind of weight loss attempts. And back in the day when I was a full-time personal trainer, I would guarantee you that every day, at least once a day, I would have somebody, usually a woman, come up to me and ask what the best exercise was to lose the weight around the middle. And there really wasn't an exercise to do that. You can't target specific areas when it comes to weight loss. When it comes to building muscle, that's a different conversation. But to lose fat in a specific area of the body, there is no one exercise that is going to target that. But this is what I would say now to any of those women who asked me that question. Instead of trying to do 1,000 sit-ups, which is not going to work for getting a flat stomach, try to go to bed a bit earlier tonight and tomorrow and the next day and the next day after that. Because sleep, improving the quality and the quantity of our sleep, and I know that can be difficult, but honestly, we need to be honest with ourselves around what options we've got to be able to make that happen. And I have made a video about that, and if you need some help with it, then do get in touch. But sleep is an absolute necessity to do something to improve the quality and quantity around it. It's the time when your body is dealing with the stresses and the strains of the day. It's when it's making sense of things. It's when it's detoxing. It's when a lot of this weight loss is occurring, if it's going to happen at all. So we need to set ourselves up for a good night's sleep. So what I've just described to you is the absolute basics. It's the foundations, the first starting points to think about where you can slow down and how you can do that at meal times, and doing things in the evening that slow you down instead of revving you up, and blood sugar balancing foods, and avoiding constipation, and exercise choices that give you cardio and resistance training. You know, we can't skip over these things at all. They've got to be in there somewhere. If you need a bit more support, perhaps a bit more information to help you with these things, then I have actually written a help sheet specifically about losing perimenopausal and postmenopausal weight. And I've put the link to that in the description, and also for the Wise Eating course as well.